So when we talk about the database, first of all, we need to introduce entity. So what does that mean called entity? So an entity is a domain that we want to describe in the data. So for example, now I use teacher and student. They are two different domains. Then between the domain, there is a relationship. So the relationship can be one-to-one, like one teacher can have one student, or one-to-many. One teacher can have many students, or many-to-one, like many students on the opposite side. Many students can have one teacher, or many-to-many, like many class include many students. So a student can have many classes. Then one class can have many students. So that's a many-to-many relationship. So then inside each entity called the teacher, in actual database, it's called a table. So in the table, we have a teacher. Then inside each table, we have different field called attribute. For example, the teacher can talk about some subject like math, English, or other like a programming language like me. Then have the teacher can have a name, like me have a name called Fanny. So the same as student. Student can have a different attribute, like a student's the registration number, student score for a selected subject, or student's age, and so on. So that's the relationship in database. But database can be a very complicated subject to taught. But here we just I'm just teaching a very basic relationship and a very basic table we maybe often use. So now I will show you like the teacher's table. Now we say inside the table, we say the column 1, column. So for the vertical side, it's called columns. Then for the horizontal side, it's called row. So in here, I have teacher's ID called T001. Then teacher's name, teacher's taught subject, and teacher's date of birth, and the teacher taught class. So here is the table about teacher. So in a database, you may have many tables. Then between the table, they have some relationship. So here I just introduce a teacher table. Then the next one is a student table. So for the student table, you can see the same. We have 4 columns and 9 rows. But the student ID is different to the teacher ID, and the student's name is different to the teacher's name, and also the class. But then the class number, like class 1, it will related to teacher's table in the class 1, and the student's date of birth. The date of birth may be repetitive because we can have 2 students born on the same day. So that's is not unique. But the student ID is unique. So you cannot have the duplicate student ID. So here is the relationship. So here is the relationship. So we have a teacher table and student table. So you can see the different color. So the blue color here, we have teacher taught in class 1. Then the class 1 related to student ID 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the students in class 1. Then for the teacher ID number 1, it taught class 3. So the class 3 will be student number 8 and 9. So that's the relationship between teacher and student. So that's so we also can have here, like at the bottom, the class 4 and 5. Those teacher hasn't got any student in my student table. but they maybe have other things to do with, like a teacher's subject group. So that's a relationship between tables. So this is a simple concept of a database and the relationship. So first of all, we need to install MySQL into your machine. So how do we install that? We need to go to here. It's the download page for downloading MySQL. So we can open the page. It's from MySQL page here. So if you are using Mac, then you need to install MySQL Community Server. If you are using Windows, you need to download MySQL installer for Windows. So I will allow you to download that by the time. So like if you look at my example here, then I click on the MySQL Community Server. So from here, you can download the most recent version, like this one. So you click on download. And here you can just ignore it, so you just say no thanks. Get rid of the download page. So then you can find a place to download your package. So for me, I will choose download, then I save it. So it will start the downloading. So I wait for you to download it. Anyone finish the download? Not yet. So once you finish the download, you can just click on the icon, then start the installation. So when you are doing the installation, it will ask you to give a password. Then you need to remember the password. Otherwise, next time you can't log in into your own database. So you need to write the password down. Okay, if you complete your installation, then we try. If someone hasn't been successful, we still try next one. So we go back to the original page. Then we download the MySQL Workbench. No matter you are using Mac or using Windows, we all download the MySQL Workbench. So click on the MySQL Workbench. Then you can select your operating system here. Like if you are using Windows, then use this one. If you are using Mac, then use this one. Then click on the download. So to start the downloading. This one is user interface for operate the MySQL database. So this one will be better than using terminal. Okay, once you finish your download, I will first explain. The first thing you download is an actual database. So it will stored inside your machine. So you can save files into your database. Then the second thing you download is a Workbench, which is a user interface. So you use that one for manipulate with your data. That will be easier. So now, if you have finished your download for the Workbench, then we can open it. So let's open the Workbench. So here's MySQL Workbench. Then we click on it. So you will see a screen like this one. Then we click on the connection, the first one, connection. It will ask you to have the password. So if it doesn't ask you to set a username, so all users are called root, then the password will be the one you choose to store in the server. So let me type my password. So now we connected into the Workbench. So now we can have a look on the Workbench. So the server status, this one, is everything about the server. So the server is your local server. It's inside your machine. You are not connected to anyone else, just yours. And the client connection is the one every time when you click on the connection, you are the client, then your machine are the server. So this one is the status you connected to the server. So now let's have a look. How do we actually build a database? So now you can, all the data, if you have, then you will show on the schema here. So here are the data I have already built up. But if you want to start, how do we start it? Then you look at the icon very on the top. There's like a stack, 3 stack on here. Then you put your mouse around that one. You will say create a new schema in the connected server. So the schema means a database. So then let's click on it. It will ask you to put a new name for the schema. Let's think of, let's say we want a database about a car. So we say car. Then we click on the enter. Where is my execute? Okay, it should be when you finish the name, it will ask you when this one screen appears. If you look at this one, these one are called SQL command. It's called SQL script. So when you want to write any about database, you want to create data, create tables, or insert any rows inside the database, these are the command that you will use. But currently, you can just forget it. Then you click on the apply. Then click on close. So now you can see the car has appeared on my database list. So now I have a car. So now inside the car, we want to create some tables. So how do we do that? We click on the second icon next to the database. So we click on that one. Then it will say a new tables. So what do you want to put inside the table? Let's say we want car detail. We want a car detail. So then inside the car detail, we can click on here. So we can add columns here. So for example, we want the car called name. Then the next one, we can say we want to use these data type are the type you can use. Sometimes you use int, it's integer. if you want to store like how many cars in here, you use int. But if you want to store like a car brand, like a Ford, Volkswagen things, then we can use var character. So this one is to store text, but it's a variable you can use. So we can select this one, then give a length. So normally, like Volkswagen is a long name, so we can, assuming the brand is around 30 characters. So we use this one for the car name. Then we can have a second column called car color. So the color maybe it's like 10, like blue block, something like that. Then we have 10 in here. So once you finish this one, then we can save. On the very bottom right hand side left, on the very bottom here, not very clear from the screen, you can click on apply. So you can see the screen, the script will be appear like when you want to, after this application, then we want to write it into like our Python code, then these are the code we need. Just to create a table, then give a table names, then give the columns, then give the data types, like this one. So we click on apply, then finish. So once you finish, you may not able to see it immediately. So we do a refresh. On the very top right, left, the last icon on the very top, then you click on that one. It's not. Didn't see it appears here. Let's do it again. What's happening to the tables? Ah, I know what's happening here. Oh. Doesn't want to collaborate with me. Taste. I forgot to click the car, so now my database is actually connected to the test, not the database car. So once you want to do something inside the car, you need to click on. So you see I make a mistake to make the car table into the test database. So it's actually executed, but it's execute into the car detail. So my car details becomes to here. So if you want to put tables inside a car, you need to click on the car first. Then we can do create tables. So then we do it again. We say car detail. Then we give a table about car name. Then we change the character to 30s. Then the next one we say car color. And we give a length of about 10. So then we say apply. So now I apply it. So then it says successfully execute. Once it's successfully, you can close it. Then you close it, then you do open the car, then you can see the tables here. So now we have a table about car detail. Now if you want to insert any data inside the car details, then you can click on the very right icon beside the car detail. So we click on that one, then you can see the script will show here. Now it select everything from car database, then table is car details. So now we can add. So we can add things inside here. This goes around here. The screen looks different to once I'm doing the recording, the screen will be very strange. It's here. So now I can see, if you can see here, sometimes it just disappear, I don't know why. Now we can see this one. If you see this one, the green color here, you can add, insert a new row. So now we can insert something here, or you can delete something here. So now we say we want a car name called VW. And the color we say is like blue. And the next one we say is fold. Then it's black. Okay, now we have two. Then we click on the apply. So now you can see the script appears again. So we can apply this one into our database. Then we close it. Now let's talk about here the command here. It says select everything from the car details. So once you have the script here, then you can push on this one like a Thunderbolt. This one, then you will run the script. So now we have two columns here. If we want to delete one, so now we click on, like the first one, we click on the fold. Then if we want to delete that one, we then click on the red color column here, very small icon on this here. So we click on delete. So then the fold has gone. So we now have this one. So for all the MySQL script, you can look at here. if you look at this one, there are a lot of MySQL command here. So for example, if you want to create a database, then here is the example. You can have a look. So this is the way we can create a database, and there are a lot you can taste on it. So now let's go back to our actually program here. So now let's have a look at the first one. If you open on my code here, then let's look at this one. So I put from, oh, I forgot one thing you need to do is to, before you run the Python code from Spider, you need to do pip install. So inside the, you need to open Anaconda, then open the terminal. Then from the terminal, you need to say pip install. The one you need to do install is pip is MySQL connector. It's called the MySQL connector Python. So you need to do pip install MySQL -connector Python. Once you install that one, then you can do the programming with your MySQL from Spider. So you need to open your Anaconda, then from the Anaconda you need to open terminal. Then from the terminal you need to type install MySQL -connector Python. Just be careful, you just copy it in case you have some typos here. So we then paste on it. So after that, you can click on the enter, then you will do pip install.